I don't know you, but I bet you've done things that you didn't want to do for money.
このタバコ食ったら100円やるよ。
マジっすか。いただきます。
Most people view work as a form of necessary evil, one we need to live with in order to pay rent and put food on the table. It comes as no surprise, then, that many people have come to associate the concept of labor with punishment. After all, work is hell, the saying goes.
The day or night's duties are sheer simplicity itself. At least at first, as when the prince simply signs in to signal the commencement of a shift.
Oh God.
Get on with your responsibilities.
There are many examples of art and popular media that give us highly organized hells, offices populated by demons, zombies, and bosses that are literally Satan.
What's up?
This is Bureaucratic Hell, the place where working class resentment meets supernatural imagery. Here, the afterlife is an endless office building with bloated upper management that only exists for the purpose of inflicting endless misery and suffering. Before the 20th century, hell wasn't always this corporate, and it's no surprise that our idea of what hell looks like comes from religion. Chinese religious beliefs, guided by Buddhism, detail a hell below the earth made to torture humans for their sins as early as 200 BCE. Interestingly, it is here that we begin to see how bureaucracy operated into hell in art and folklore. Hell with desks, paperwork, and bureaucrats became such an entrenched idea in Asia that the fundamental Chinese novel Journey to the West, published in 1592, has a plotline about a bureaucratic mix-up involving souls in the underworld. Because of this, it's easy to spot references to bureaucratic hells in manga, anime, and Japanese film. In the West, Christianity and some other Abrahamic faiths give us a hell that is full of eternal fire, torture, and demons. Dante's Divine Comedy is an Italian narrative poem described hell as a tiered specialized place dedicated to human punishment and supervised by demons. It had 9 circles arranged with the largest on the top and the smallest on the bottom, with the worst sinners being in a small circle in the center of the earth. The circles of hell, in order of severity from least to worst, are limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, wrath, heresy, violence, fraud, and the devil himself, Dis, is in the last level by himself with the worst sin, treachery against God. All this talk of eternal torment for sins committed in life drives home the fact that hell, in various traditions and cultures, was a reflection of humanity's fear of not living up to moral and ethical standards in life. Hell then, as now, is about inflicting suffering of our misdeeds and shortcomings. Maybe. But who decides how to administer the torture, and how is it made proportional to the crime or sin? In many religious texts, and throughout popular culture, demons are the staff working in hell, and they are the ones taking names, checking lists, and facilitating eternal torture. Hell in Dante's poem shows us how organized and orderly eternal damnation is through a walking tour led by Virgil, and he shows us that sinners don't torture themselves, unless there's a demon supervising it. C.S. Lewis, the author of the Narnia series, wrote a novel titled The Screwtape Letters in 1942. Lewis was a very Christian man, and he very much believed in the concept of heaven and hell. The Screwtape Letters is written in the form of a senior demon in hell writing letters to his nephew, a junior demon, on the best ways to tempt humans into damnation. In this book, Lewis imagines hell as a bureaucracy with desks, paperwork, suits, and ties. When asked about why he chose to depict hell as a bureaucracy, Lewis said this: "I live in a managerial age, in a world of admin. The greatest evil is not now done in those sordid dens of crime that Dickens loved to paint. It is not done even in concentration camps and labor camps. In those, we see its final result. But it is conceived and ordered in cleaned, carpeted, warmed, and well-lit offices by quiet men with white collars and cut fingernails and smooth-shaven cheeks, who do not need to raise their voice. Hence, naturally enough, my symbol for hell is something like the bureaucracy of a police state or the offices of a thoroughly nasty business. People sitting at desks, dispassionately taking in information, arranging it into lists and spreadsheets, and then passing it through a system of other people doing the same, are removed from the results of their actions. C.S. Lewis draws our attention to the fact that some of the worst things humans have ever done have occurred because of this distance between workers and the outcome of their work. It's no wonder how people working behind desks have become demons and monsters in popular imagination. Cultural theorist and educator Zara Zimbardo points out, monster derives from the Latin word monere, meaning a warning or omen. Monster stories can always tell us something meaningful about the society they come from. They do valuable cultural work to embody the fears of a given age, revealing social oppressions and cultural anxieties. While C.S. Lewis was among the first in Western literature to use bureaucratic demons to critique the state of society, monsters, devils, and zombies have been used as a kind of cautionary tale to comment on capitalism and the economy for decades now. George A. Romero's zombie film, Dawn of the Dead, from 1978 for example, is another allegory. The longer capitalism and mindless consumption drags on like this, and the longer we ignore and internalize the suffering that business as usual and toxic workplaces inflict on our lives, is more time spent living in a form of bureaucratic hell. Our global economic system shambles along like the Walking Dead, enforced and upheld by the demons of bureaucracy. Zimbardo tells us, zombies represent the end of the world as we know it, the total breakdown of human society, and the cannibalization of humanity. The zombie apocalypse speaks to some of the most puzzling elements of our socio-historical moment, wherein many are trying to ascertain what lies in store for humanity after global capitalism, if anything. What apocalyptic futures is our country rehearsing, and how do they both signal despair of and hope for fundamental change? We've all seen hell take the form of a workplace in religion, art history, literature, anime, manga, TV, and film. Video games, a relatively new art form compared to the rest of what we've looked at, also use this idea and imagery too. Maybe it has something to do with the working conditions of most studios in the gaming industry. Video games are multifaceted, making use of visuals, sound, story, and player input to engage us in multiple ways. The element of play, which differentiates this medium from all others, allows us to move through a bureaucratic hell in the way that a traditional work of art or literature simply can't. It also gives us a way to think about how we might reconfigure or even escape from this hell. One example of a game based on this concept is Hades, made by Supergiant Games. You play as Zagreus, the son of Hades, and you're trying to escape the underworld to reach your mother Persephone. Hell is portrayed as a paper-pushing workplace in which your dad, Hades, acts as a ruler who decides the fates of the souls that enter his domain.
Everybody hang in there.
This hell behaves somewhat like a family business, and all the chthonic gods have a role to play in its operation. Hades may be the god of the underworld and riches, but where is he most of the time? Behind a desk, working at his upper management job, slowly moving through a lineup of souls awaiting a stamp of approval on their paperwork. He might as well just be the god of bureaucracy.
Denied. Blasted parchment work, it never goes away.
Zagreus finds that he just isn't cut out to do paperwork like his father, and his repeated attempts to escape are a rejection of the hell his father upholds. He also pushes back against the circumstances of his underworld birth, which have fated him to die whenever he sets foot on the surface of the earth, which speaks about him as someone who must stay within his class orientation as heir to the underworld. Hades, the game, shows that loosening strict rules and class-based hierarchies in a bureaucratic institution can benefit everyone. Zagreus' rejection of desk work and constant escape attempts earn him a newly created position as security specialist, allowing him to keep doing what he does best, making hell feel a little less like hell. The game Going Under is a little bit more radical, providing a glimpse into what might happen to a bureaucratic hell when workers fight back. You play as Jackie Fiasco, a fresh out of college intern looking for workplace experience. Instead of doing marketing stuff, like you went to school for, your manager instead has you battle against gig-working monsters and cursed startups in the lower levels of the same building that you work in. Each of these dungeon errands is inspired by real-world startups, such as gig economy companies, dating apps, and Bitcoin mining. But you know, with goblins, demons, and skeletons. The game never misses an opportunity to comment on corporate culture, with even the aesthetic choices shaped by the international or global homogeneous style, a clean and simplistic art style that is meant to disarm the viewer with playful colors and round edges to hide ugly corporate intentions. Most conflicts in this game are centered around increasing corporate profits. Your boss has delusions of being a business savant. Your manager is trying to climb up the corporate ladder, and Avi, the company's AI, wants to breach the privacy settings of the human soul and tap into our desires in order to sell us more stuff. Eventually, it's revealed that the true antagonist of the story isn't your boss or your manager, but Avi, who comes to personify the idea of automation and total corporate control. By the end of the game, the cursed denizens of former startup companies band together with Jackie to dismantle the corporate institution that has had them bound in torturous servitude. To oversimplify an element of Marxist theory, these employees choose to work together in solidarity with one another to overthrow their own capitalist, bureaucratic hell. Going Under reminds us that it's the labor of the workers that produces new wealth, but under capitalism, that wealth turns into a monster that dominates its workers, demanding to be fed by even more labor. We have to work together and fight back if we want to break free. Interestingly, both Hades and Going Under are roguelike games. The gameplay loop of repeatedly battling through a mostly unchanging system is incredibly appropriate for representing the experience of bureaucracy and labor, because it gamifies the monotony of doing the same task over and over with slightly different but mostly similar results.
Hey, let me be the first to say congratulations! You have died 100 times since I've been keeping score. Since I've been keeping track. No prize for it or anything, but the journey is its own reward or something, right?
So why do we keep coming back to the idea of being trapped in a bureaucratic hell? The idea of it is as relevant now as it was centuries ago. Bureaucratic systems are implemented for the benefit of organizations and to facilitate transactions, be it in hell, the government, or Microsoft. These systems, therefore, do not exist to benefit people. They're meant to generate order and capital. For most of us, our only chance to escape is to realize that we are indeed actually in hell, and that our demon captors and their piles of paperwork are fewer in number than those of us under their control. And perhaps then, we'll stop being complicit in our own torture. Until then, I think we'll continue to see bureaucratic hells in our art and culture.
I have no new tales left to tell. But do not think that you have won, Prince Zagreus. For any tale worth telling is a tale worth telling again, and again, and again. Bye-bye.